Welcome on the Cosmic Atom. Women are animals with long hair and short ideas, a harsh remark that cuts through the mind like broken glass. Today, it is deservedly reviled as the pinnacle of philosophical misogyny. But it originated from Arthur Schopenhauer, the gloomy genius of German philosophy, a man with a grim outlook on life and a dazzling intellect. And before you dismiss him as a bitter, resentful sexist, which he was to some extent, let us pause, because beneath the cheap insult and harsh generalization, there is something more unsettling, a truth that quietly echoes in the darkest corners of male experience. Some claim that Schopenhauer did not actually detest women. He despised the mechanics of desire. He despised the way romantic love, or what he perceived to be its illusion, made him feel powerless, replaceable, secondary, and was the source of his bitterness, a near pathological cynicism toward feminine pulses, a question that many men throughout history have been afraid to ask aloud for fear of sounding weak, possessive, or worse, resentful. Why does she always want more? Why? Even when it appeared that love, connection, and dedication were genuine, could she leave one day for someone else? And why does that someone else frequently represent very specific characteristics, such as being taller, more successful, more confident, more powerful, or possessing what you believe you lack? Today, we're going to delve into those treacherous seas. We're going to talk about extreme agamy, a contentious notion, but also about the silent power of feminine choice. Above all, we'll discuss the masculine resentment that so frequently lurks behind these dynamic mixes, a resentment that poisons the soul if left unacknowledged and unresolved. To understand Schopenhauer's picture of love and women, he must first grasp the core of his philosophy, the will to live. For him, the ultimate reality was not reason, God, or even matter. It was an irrational, blind, ravenous energy, a cosmic instinct that propels everything from rocks and blueprints to animals and humans to persist in their existence, reproduce, and thrive. This will is the root of all want and, by extension, all misery, because desire implies a lack. The will is never satiated, and in this bleak context, romantic love is not a spiritual relationship. It is a biological trap, a trick, a bait set by the will to reproduce itself. Schopenhauer believes that what we call love is really a beautiful mask for a basic force that is unconcerned about your happiness, is concerned about your genetic utility. You believe you fell in love because of an emotional connection with someone who understands your soul. But he says otherwise. This blind biological force picks for you. You're just an instrument. Love lies, a cleverly crafted illusion designed to fool you into surrender. It's much more troubling when a woman picks a man based on this worldview. She does not do so because of the depth of his heart or the beauty of his spirit. Her instinct is calculated, honed over millions of years of evolution. She isn't actively considering your politeness or amorous gestures. On a deeper level, her biology asks, can this man protect me and my future children? Can he bring security, resources, or stability? Does he have the genetic qualities for strength and intelligence that will help my offspring? According to Schopenhauer, this is the harsh engine that drives female attraction. It's not sentiment, it's strategy, a survival mechanism disguised as affection, admiration, or compatibility. And the algorithm has a name: hypoagony. Let's define it without hesitation. Hyperbole is the observed tendency of women across history and throughout cultures to seek mates of equal or better social, financial, or physical standing. This is not a moral defect. It's not necessarily shallow. It is not always conscious. It's evolutionary programming, a deeply ingrained survival drive. However, what evolution refers to as logic is frequently perceived as betrayal by modern humans. Because she didn't just leave. It's that she left for someone who was thought to be better, more confident, dominant, more successful than you. That's when the resentment begins. You weren't unloved. You were simply outcompete because your dedication, concern, and presence alone were insufficient. Because you secretly lost a game. You didn't even realize you were playing. So you ask yourself, was it a personal betrayal? Was it selfishness? Or was it something more old, impersonal, like natural selection at work? And Schopenhauer, seated atop his tower of pessimism, would respond in deadly fashion. It was not her. It was the will, using her as a vehicle and you as bait. The sense of being abandoned isn't usually accompanied by tears. It is not expressed out loud. Male resentment is quieter. It wears masks. It hides behind irony, indifference, or words like all women are the same. Or maybe love is a hoax. But beyond the armor, there is something raw and wounded, a wound that never fully healed. And beneath this stillness, Schopenhauer let his philosophy to decay. His scorn for women, which is so clear in his texts, does not appear to stem from objective logic. It stems from personal experience, a strained connection with a powerful and emotionally aloof mother, and unsuccessful romances in which he was not the chosen one. Schopenhauer was not speaking solely as a philosopher. He spoke as a man who felt invisible and unwelcome. And this is what makes his philosophy hazardous. It isn't just theory. It's traumatic, intellectualized. Instead of passing judgment, we can question how many guys today are carrying the same wound. How many people have loved truly, given their everything, and still felt inadequate? How many people have played the roles of protector, provider, and faithful spouse only to be perceived as a placeholder rather than passion? Because the ugly truth is that men desire more than just companionship. They want to be chosen to be desired, not simply accepted as the one who makes her eyes light up or the one who pays the bills. And when they aren't, they get replaced. The pain does not get processed. It gets buried. And in a culture that still punishes male vulnerability, the anguish evolves. It evolves into dogma, cynicism, angry echo chambers, and entire internet subcultures in which suffering is reinforced and blame becomes a way of life. However, if you peel back the layers of bitterness, you will often discover that it is not hatred. It's heartbreaking. It's the voice of a man who tried everything yet still wasn't enough. And this is where Schopenhauer's ideas become especially corrosive, when they're employed as ammo for resentment rather than a mirror for introspection. We refuse to confront his personal bitterness as a universal reality, when philosophy becomes a cover for the emotional damage. Does this imply that women are naturally selfish and solely concerned about money, power, and status? Not necessarily. That's a superficial interpretation of a profound inclination. A more sophisticated viewpoint acknowledges that hyperbole, or this upward-seeking drive, is not a moral flaw. It's evolutionary programming from primordial times. Choosing a mate was not about romanticism. It was about survival. A woman who chose a weak man who was incapable of protecting or providing for her wrist more than simply heartbreak. She was willing to risk her life for herself and her children. So nature sharpened her instincts like a sword. She developed a radar for strength, skill, and security. Even if humans no longer dwell in caves, the radar continues to hum beneath the surface. Today, it does not look for the toughest warrior or the finest hunter. It looks for purpose, direction, and confidence. It seeks a man who is forward-thinking, capable, and has momentum. And that's where the heartbreak begins. Because being a good man is not always sufficient. You can be kind, loyal, and supportive. You can show up every day and do the right thing. You can love with everything you have and still be unattractive. You may be liked, respected, and appreciated, but not desired in that visceral, magnetic sense. Desire follows distinct rules. And if you don't comprehend the rules, you'll wind up confused, bitter, and lost. You ask, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't this enough? This is when a mind begins to harden. You come to believe that love is a falsehood, that kindness is weakness, that ladies are unkind. But the true issue is that you are behaving from a point of miscommunication. You've never been told that desire does not reward goodness. It values expansion, vitality, and power. And if you don't portray that enthusiasm, mission, and spark, she could not even notice you. So many men are stuck here doing everything correctly, following the script, and still losing and getting replaced. Not because they are horrible men, but because they haven't grasped that the game's rules differ from those they were taught. So what happens now? Will you give up? Turn Bitter has joined the chorus of wrath online. Is there a way to reclaim your value? Instead of chasing her approval, restore your foundation. Understanding hypergamy does not imply being a slave to it. It does not imply changing yourself to fit some false mold of high status or becoming someone you're not in order to gain favor. It entails understanding the laws of attraction and then opting to rise on your own terms. Not for her, for you. The solution does not involve competing with every other man for a woman's validation. That is a race you will either lose or lose yourself in. The genuine answer is to compete with your prior self. To wake up every day and ask, where can I grow? Where do I fall short? Where have I been passive when I should have been active? Because when you focus on being the most grounded, capable, and purpose-driven version of yourself, rather than impressing others, you no longer need approval. You cease begging for love. You start to exude authority, calm assurance, and words. And here's the conundrum. That is when you become appealing. Not because you sought it, but because you no longer require it. And here's the conundrum. That is when you become appealing. Not because you sought it, but because you no longer require it. You do not become invincible against rejection. But rejection will no longer break you. You have something deeper. A core is a kingdom within. And if somebody leaves, if someone does not choose you, you do not collapse. You regroup. You rebuild. You rise. Here's where we turn to nature. The philosopher who respected and condemned Schopenhauer's concept of the Übermensch, or Overman, was not about dominating others. It was about dominating oneself. Mastering your instincts, overcoming your bitterness, transforming your wounds into wisdom, and your pain into purpose. So, perhaps she wanted something more. Perhaps she left. Perhaps she saw you as inferior to someone else. It aches. It cuts deep, but you don't have to stay there. You do not have to let the wound define you. You can convert it into fuel. Resenting what you cannot control does not help you grow. You develop by building what you can. Your strength, clarity, and mission. Do not beg for affection. Do not cling out of fear. Don't despise what you can't have. Build yourself. Forge your own path. Know your worth. Not because someone else thinks you have it, but because you deserve it. Allow her to depart. Because when you know who you are and your worth is established within, abandonment is no longer your greatest worry. It's simply another step on the route to mastery. Dear viewers, your support through Super Chat and membership is the only source of income that keeps this channel running. If you want me to continue uploading valuable content without delays and to stay motivated in providing you with the best wisdom, I need your help. Every contribution, big or small, makes a huge difference. Feel free to donate and support Pure Wisdom so we can keep growing together. Your generosity keeps this journey alive. Thank you for being part of this amazing community. If you're enjoying the content on Pure Wisdom and find value in the messages we share, I encourage you to subscribe. Based on the latest analytics, 93.9% of viewers are watching without subscribing. By subscribing, you not only stay updated with new content, but also support the channel's growth, allowing us to continue spreading wisdom for the chosen ones. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an important message. Let's build this community together.